Here is the list of all the improvements to expect with Sim Update 15. You're welcome. Hello Simmers! I was pleasantly surprised to see that for once the stream dedicated a fair amount of time to the Xbox and performance issues. So the two things I take away from this segment of the stream are first, and I quote, Theme Update 15 has a lot of stability changes. And then we did a ton of improvements on memory management. First, they mention WASM. You know, this module that has been added for the first time in Xbox history back in May last year, I believe, and that allowed us to fly planes such as the 737 by PMDG and many others from now. So in fact, they found that this WASM module was doing some bad memory allocations, saying, for example, that when launching third-party add-on, some memory was allocated and never released, even if it was not used. So that's pretty bad indeed when you think that memory is limited. So to improve that, the team has redone a part of the WASM module using virtual memory allocation. And this is true for both PC and Xbox, by the way. And it has resolved a lot of problems, offering a way much better memory management. It will help everyone, third-party add-on included, to run everything better. So that's the theory, guys. We will need to wait for the release of Sim Update 15 on Xbox to confirm all that. I was pretty confident the last time, and after listening at all the efforts they made, I really believe we will enjoy flying on Xbox like we were used to before Sim Update 13. Because we also need to realize that the sim keeps getting bigger and better, pushing the Xbox to the edge, and so far nothing was really made to address the performance, and as we all know, memory is quite limited on Xbox compared to what we can have on PC. Also, another solution has been found specifically for Xbox for both Series X and Series S to help Flight Simulator to run smoother on console. With Sim Update 15, there will be a dynamic texture resolution depending on critical memory usage. They think they found the best compromise now, and it will also help us. But it's not something you will really notice because it will affect, I quote, the secondary material map. Stuff running in the background, if I may translate very simply. I believe this is the main things to take out of the stream, but of course they talked about a lot more details, so I left the segment related to performance just right now. Enjoy and see you soon. Bye bye.
I can start with stability.
Sure.
Sim Update 15 has a lot of stability changes. So we fixed a ton of crashes and bugs, and we did a ton of improvements on the memory management, which is more an issue, I would say, on the console. At the same time, we also added a lot of stuff, and you can see the list. One particular being live traffic, which has more complexity, more variety, just a lot more, and that's something which is extremely heavy on the console memory. So I think that's one of the reasons also why we need a few more weeks, is we're doing more adjustments on stability to try to get the system not to crash and to adapt to adapt to whatever the user is, where he's flying, what aircraft he's flying, what add-on he's installed. And right now, finally, after all the changes, the numbers are looking good. I would say even better than on the previous Simulate 14, I would say. So that's good. And yeah, but I think that's been a struggle here because of all the additions. So we had to do a lot of more optimizations. One of the optimizations is gonna link into the third line, but I will let Martial talk about the second item.
The WASM module. Okay. So the WASM module is the part on the SDK that reads C++ code and translates that into JavaScript. Because JavaScript is the tech we're using internally since Flight Sim 2020. And this WASM module was not written here at Asobo. It's something pretty standard. And we have looked at it, and it looks like we figure out that this WASM module was doing somehow some bug allocations. So it does the allocation of memory by blocks, and it's very linear. And when you create some new blocks, the way it was working was not, this module was not able to unalloc some blocks. So for instance, on initializations, third party was doing plenty of things. And during the initialization, we had a lot of allocations of new memory, and this memory was never been freed after that. And it was blocked forever, forever, at least until the module was not used anymore. So what we did, and thanks to Eric Pellissier and the SDK team, hi guys, they rewrite a part of the WASM module. It's pinging me like, thanks. So what they did was to write a virtual memory allocation. And thanks to that, we can now free some part, and the modules are taking very much less amount of memory. Everything's get freed, and this peak of allocations during the initialization does not cost memory allocations anymore. There's two conditions to that for having the use of these improvements. The very first one is you have to recompile the C++ code to JavaScript using the new module that has been done for the SimUpdate SDK, SimUpdate 15 SDK. And the other one is to use SimUpdate 15. I said SimUpdate 5, SimUpdate 15. Mm-hmm. And with that optimization in SimUpdate 15, we will have a way much better memory management, and this will help us and our partners to put more stuff. And I think we will talk about that later, right? Having better planes and with more functionalities working on Flight Sim.
Somebody asked about the magnitude of the savings, because I think just say it.
Last time, Eric, please help me. No, last time we talked about it. It was huge, like from 15 megabytes to only a few.
Yeah, I think it's 40 to 60 is the number I saw, megabytes. So it's not like gigabytes worth of memory or something. But as you know, with the whole black screen thing, that only happens when you're running out of memory, and we are pushing memory here pretty tight to the edge, and 50 megabytes is a lot. So just know it's not like some magic gigabytes are coming back. But it's great that Eric and the team got this done.
Yeah, well done. Any comments on the LOD changes of Xbox?
Yeah, so when we started flighting the SimUpdate 15, we had done a few optimizations of memory. So there was a lot of stability fixes, and there was all the new features. And the first thing we had is that the memory was a lot worse on the Xbox because of all the additional things. What we tried a few things in various different flightings. One we tried was to dynamically reduce the number of air traffic pretty much when the memory is running out. The problem is that we can't really we can't do it by number. We had to do it by like sort of distance, right? Take out a distance. And the problem is that in general, when you run out of memory, it's in an airport. There was really only two options. Either we reduce the distance below whatever your current terminal or something, and then we really get a reduction in aircraft, but then the airport feels empty, or we move the distance out at least, 5-6 kilometers, the size of the airport, and then the number of aircraft is too high anyway. And so we were sort of stuck, and so we removed that. It didn't work. So the live traffic is always at the maximum, I would say, level of detail. There's no reduction on that. What we found is anyway the biggest cost in memory is on console is pretty much always textures. So we did a few tests, and so we have now reached a good compromise. So I think one of the tests we did was a little bit too aggressive, which made cockpit text unreadable. So the system really works in a way that if the memory is clean and you don't have it's not full, it doesn't change anything, right? But if you are maybe playing for a very long time or have a very big aircraft add-on or a very big airport or many add-ons or whatever, at some point, if the memory runs close to 15 between 20% of free, we need a free buffer of memory to be able to load and unload stuff and do stuff. So we need a 15 to 20% free. When it goes over this, pretty much what happens is that the texture resolution is reduced. And so the final compromise we ended up with is that the Xbox X has a higher resolution by default for textures. I think, if you go into the graphic menu, there's texture. We talked about texturism a few minutes ago. I think Xbox X is like high or ultra or something, and the S would be medium or low, right? So they already have different resolutions. And what happens now is if memory almost runs out, this gets tuned down by one level. What we tested in previous flighting was like everything was set to low. And even below low, actually. And it made the textures unreadable, whether you were on S or on X. And what we did now is we turn it down, but low, I think, is still readable. And so we still gain enough memory. We just ran the tests today. I think we didn't see any black avionics screen on X, and a very small number, I would say less than ever on Xbox S. And so that's a very good sign. And so I think that's the final setting sort of that we're going to keep for this update. And so there's been a lot of questions on PC. Mm-hmm. And this all these changes are really exclusive to the console. The changes that have happened on PC is that we changed the memory management completely, the low level management, how it works. We're going through a virtual alloc instead of a heap alloc, because we found out that heap alloc after 10 hours of gameplay would just run extremely slow, and virtual alloc doesn't. And so this speeds up the memory, everything memory pretty much by almost a factor of 100 after a long gameplay. But this doesn't change any LOD things. And so there has been reports of people saying, hey, I have a different LOD level on Simulate 15. So our QA spent the last 2 days to do photos, screenshots, world update to sim update, and we did not see any difference. So any downgrade or anything. So it's something which, so the code was not changed, so there's no reason. And now what can always happen is sometimes people, for whatever reason, have a connection issue and they don't get the highest resolution data. That's been reported before, or cache, rolling cache, I don't know, stuff like that. But in a normal condition, we only tested for 2 days, right? But we tested all the cases and before, after, and we didn't see any change. There was no code change. So on PC, it should not affect anything. And on console, there is not really LOD change. It's more a texture resolution, and it's not even the textures that you really see. It's the normal map. It's the ambient occlusion map. It's the specular map. It's the secondary material maps that improve I would say the look and feel of the material, but they don't change readability or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.